Alright, Jason King. Let me just do this little follow-up video here to my video on paganism, because I realized after watching that video once that I might have been a little ambiguous in something, and some people might be saying, well, it sounds kind of like you don't even believe in real demons or real demonic beings, or maybe you don't even think the master is a real entity. So a lot of times when you talk about him, it almost sounds like you're just equating him to the process of evolution. So I just wanted to make this video, clear this up real quick. I hope this one won't go real long, but you know, with me, anything's possible. So I want to make it clear at the outset that I believe in a real Satan. I believe in real demons. But I don't believe in a literal Satan or an anthropomorphic Satan. And I don't mean that in LaVey's caricature term of, you know, horns and a tail. I mean that even in a spiritual anthropomorphization. When we call these entities beings or such, we're using words that have they have an operative sphere of application, and that sphere is our own, or like the material order, that we can apply these terms in and draw our boxes around something and say this is an entity or this is a being. When we're dealing with the spiritual, those applications don't cease, but the way they're applied is different. It's broader in scale. So, for example, if I say I believe in a real demon, I'm not necessarily saying that I believe in what you might consider a real demon to be. An intelligence that transcends our own and that is individuated, yes. But through our interactions with these beings, what we have to do, or what happens of necessity, it's not that we're doing it, but because of the way our minds are constrained and the way our brains operate, in order for us to commune with such an entity, the communion takes place completely inside the consciousness or the perceptive range of the one in communion. So we don't actually encounter these beings the way we encounter each other. Like, for example, if I encounter you in the perceptual field, you exist as a completely separated spatio-temporal entity, differentiated from me. But communion with a demonic being always occurs within the me space, or within the individual consciousness space of the person communing. So this makes differentiation quite difficult. It also leads a lot of people to draw false conclusions, and a lot of people to just make some outlandish claims. I mean, if you look at all the channeled works out there, so to speak, the Seth works and all that bullshit, you can see how delusion is quite possible when dealing with transmundane intelligences. Dealing with, like, the goetic demons, for example, how one can just be totally fooled or just led completely astray by one's own mind. Which is why these things are generally regarded as being the provenance of the magus that has crossed the abyss. It's not really good for people that are neophytes to go summoning up demons, because all they're really doing is summoning up something deep within themselves that may be psychosis that's buried, or a deep neurosis that's buried. Because these beings operate through our own consciousnesses of necessity, because they can't be contained within the material order, they're just too big, is what I'm trying to get at. So the answer is yes, I don't believe in a literal Satan. I believe in a real Satan. I believe in a Satan that exists independent of my either belief in him, knowledge of him, etc., and that completely transcends my ability to grasp him. And part of that transcendence means that my labels are going to be faulty. Even when I, come up with the best labels I can, they're still going to be faulty, and they're still only going to glyph him partially. I mentioned, bad glyphs in that previous video that this is a response to, but even our glyphs that we have currently are in need of revision. Otherwise, we'd say we have all the answers already and we'd just be done with it. We'd close the book and go home. No, we're always trying to make our understandings better, but it's always going to be a never-ending process, just due to the limitations of the human mind, and human consciousness is small scale when we're dealing with something that's larger scale, like a divinity such as the master, or demonic essences or entities that are transmundane intelligences, but they have to be filtered through our own consciousness. So I hope I've kind of made that clear a little bit more. I do not deny the reality of the demonic or of the master, obviously. But I think people that want to draw their boxes around him too tight and make him out to just be some like puffed up version of a human being in a sense that doesn't have a body but still is kind of like, almost have a spirit body. All that's provided by the mind of the communing person. Their spatio-temporal limitations are vast compared to what we would consider to be a constrained body, etc. So I just wanted to clear that up for anybody out there that might have had any questions. I am a traditional Satanist, but I'm also a postmodern Satanist, as I've said before. I apply new categories to old concepts in order to understand them with a modern mind. And that's what I believe the Master requires of us. We live in the 21st century. We'd be foolish to use theologies from the Middle Ages or to hold to belief in infallible books like the other side. We have to think outside those boxes and shatter those categories, moving forward in the process of the unfolding current. Jason King on YouTube with the clarification on demons.